Walking in Another World, Chapter 212, Majolica, Part 22. Everyone's surprised to see me walking normally. But Chris and the others who know my secret quickly realize why. Layla is just surprised. We go to Casey's room, and the maid looking after her tells us she fell asleep. I try using appraisal, and see her condition really has changed. It went from petrification, stopped back to petrification in progress. I say I'm going to raise a sleeve of her pajamas, and see the petrification is spreading. Mia, have you been casting recovery every day? As I get ready, I ask what's been going on since we got here. She says she's been casting recovery every day, but it hasn't shown any changes or effect in particular. First, I make 4 full potions using potions I've made. That goes without a hitch. But what surprises me is that I barely spent any MP doing it. I guess it really was that environment that complicated this process. Then I move on to making a petrification cure, and I finish one. Try using this, I say to Layla, although Casey is sleeping right now. But the pain wakes her up soon after. Lady, drink this, Casey. Sora made it. Casey notices us standing behind Layla, and bows while saying thank you. Even those small movements look difficult for her. Layla helps her drink the petrification cure, and I guess that helps her calm down, because she falls asleep again. I cast appraisal, and see her condition is back to petrification, stopped. It looks like when her petrification is in progress, it starts hurting from time to time, so she hasn't been sleeping a lot, even though they've been looking for ways to alleviate that. But why is she the only one who hasn't been fully cured? The only difference between her and the others is that her petrification spread further. Layla told me she protected her and took the breath for a little longer than the others. That might be related, but I don't have any way of checking. The only thing I do know is that her petrification isn't being fully cured. Thank you, Sora. You really helped us. I'll give you 3 more. They'll probably stop working after 15 days. So we'll have to check that again. I see. I'll tell that to the people looking after her. Also, can I make full potions with ready-made potions? I want to use alchemy to make more potions. Is that all right? You should probably do it here, rather than in another room. I'll look after Casey, so tell me when you're done. And so, I get to work right away. First I use appraisal on every potion, and see that some are good, and the rest average. I'll start by putting the 3 good ones aside, and try mixing the others. I end up with 1 low-quality full potion, and 3 failures. What if I mix the good quality ones? That gives me an average quality full potion. There's no doubt that the quality of the potions I'm using matters. But are there any other conditions involved? I don't have enough potions to go by trial and error. What I do know is that it doesn't fail if I use the potions I made. My potions are generally all good quality, but so are the full potions. Did you learn anything? I'm not an expert, but I think the quality of the potions has to do with it. That said, it can't be that simple. It doesn't explain why the good quality ready-made potions create average full potions. But then we hear a knock on the door, and Alto comes in, still dressed like a maid. Miss Layla. Master is calling. You too, sir. Alto's voice is trembling, but that's because of Layla, right? I'm not scary, am I? Are the rest of you going to be all right? Yes, but they still come along, although they stop before I enter the room, and apparently they're going to clean the mansion. Wait, does that mean they haven't been doing that? I don't know. Maybe I should ask about that. Thank you for coming. We have a troublesome fellow here, he says while letting out a purposefully big sigh and peeking over at the man sitting next to him. I don't know who the middle-aged man with the big beard is, but Jake, the leader of Guardian Sword, is here too. Yes, nice to meet you. Sora, correct? I am called Buzzin, and I am the guild master of this city's alchemist guild. Do I need a requirement? Do I? Another guy that comes off really strong. I guess my feelings are showing on my face, because Will and Jake are smiling awkwardly at me. So you want to know how to make potions? Precisely. Those ones. Full potions, correct? And I want to know about the petrification cures you made. Ah, of course, you will be compensated, and you can refuse if you want. Technique and skills are a person's biggest treasures. I thought he was going to be unreasonable, but it sounds like he's pretty sensible. Buzzin isn't too high-handed, but he is stubborn. Layla whispers to me. The man himself is just sipping tea with an unconcerned look on his face, like he feels he said everything he wanted to say. Yes, if it's not too much to ask, I want to ask the same. Not to mention how useful it is to have that man Omi-1. He is competent despite everything. What are you talking about? I am nothing but competent. That's why you're no good, Will. Apparently these two are friends. Incidentally, Layla heard from their senior butler that they along with Jake's father used to be pretty reckless when they were younger. Honestly, there are things I don't understand either, so if you investigate them yourselves, I don't mind. Depending on the reward, of course. I see. I like young people who get straight to the point. Well then, we should silence the merchants quickly. And what do we need? I can offer you free membership to the Alchemist Guild. We will even waive the annual fee, he says with a happy look on his face. And I get the feeling that he was looking into my problems with the Merchant Guild in the Holy Kingdom. I see. Then I'll add a few more conditions and see if he bites. I'm sure he has his limits too. Join my Patreon to support me and read ahead. Walking in Another World, Chapter 213, Majolica, Part 23. I see. So that information fee will be 5 platinum coins? It would be hard to pay it all at once, so can it be in installments? And it will be via card, so is the Alchemist Guild card alright? The guild won't really meddle, and if anyone complains, I will make sure they stop. He looks pretty serious. But I don't know the market price, so I don't know if it's reasonable or not. Will nods when I turn to him, so I assume it's right. I don't even know if they can copy the way I make potions to begin with. Can we talk here, or should we go to another room? I ask Buzzin, and he says it's fine here. Did anyone see me make potions in the dungeon? I don't really remember. Well, first I start with, I take potions from Buzzin and show him how I combine them. I really am just mixing 3 potions together. Did no one ever try to do this? I look at Buzzin, and he looks really surprised, but not for the reason I was expecting. How did that work? Apparently they did try this, it just never worked. Not a single person has managed to do this. Well, first, judging from how I make them, I take out 3 full potions I made before and put them on a table. Their qualities vary, and so their colors also vary in how thick they are. 2 of them have average colors, but there are still subtle differences. First, you should use good quality potions. I tried using light-colored ones before with ones with a thicker color, but that resulted in a poor success rate. I tried 4 times, but it only worked once. This one. I point to the full potion that has the lightest color of the 3. Also, this is just conjecture, but it might be best if the same person makes the 3 potions that will be used. What do you mean? At the very least, I've never failed when I made full potions with potions I've made. Incidentally, I use good quality medicinal herbs to make potions. Unfortunately, I don't have any potions on me, so I can't show them to you, but I think that if the color looks thick, their quality isn't bad. Casting appraisal tells me their effect is big and their quality is good. I see. This might be worth looking into. Yes. Also, sorry, but I'm going to have to ask for 5 medicinal herbs, magic energy herbs, and vitality herbs. Are you going to make something? Yes. It looks like only I can make petrification cures that work on Casey, the one whose petrification hasn't healed yet. I want to make a few so she can take them when she needs them, but I don't think I can make a lot. I also tell him the recipe to my petrification cure, and of course, he frowns when he hears the materials. I figure I might as well ask if he knows about a certain item, and he says he doesn't, but he will see if he can get information about it. I understand. This was productive. Well then, I'm going to raid the Merchant Guild right away. I will deliver the medicinal herbs. Not tomorrow, but soon. And we need you in the guild to make your card, so I want you to drop by, he says very quickly before running out. Was that good? Yes. I'm sure there won't be any problems. As far as the potions go, it will all work out if the guild can make them. They seem useful, but I don't think there will be a big demand for them. Interesting. Why do you think so? Asks Jake, who has been quiet this whole time, and I tell him what I think. I see. So they seem like they would be good in an emergency, but they would probably not be viable normally. I guess it also depends on the price. I'm thinking of taking that idea and making something else. And I want to try mixing 2 potions, not 3. That would probably sell better. I imagine there will be more people who need something that replenishes HP and MP, or HP and SP. Jake listens to me quietly, and asks questions from time to time. Ash was actually right, I think my impression of him has changed a little. Maybe I've been getting used to this environment, or maybe it's something else, but he feels less menacing than when I bumped into him in the guild. I'm looking at him while I think about this, and I think he noticed that. Sorry, I came off kind of, no, pretty bad the first time we met. Don't worry, Ash told me all about it. And I get wanting to trust your partners like that. Thanks for understanding. If there's anything I can help with, don't be afraid to ask. I see. Well, like I told Buzzin, I want laurel tree fruit. And if you have high-quality magic stones, can you share some? Jake awkwardly smiled, like he wasn't expecting me to say that. Was he expecting me to say something more unreasonable or something? I'll talk to the Adventurer Guild and the Merchant Guild. It can only be an inconvenience if a great adventurer can't work, Jake says before bowing and leaving. I really feel like he's different now. Join my Patreon to support me and read ahead. Walking in Another World, Chapter 214, Majolica, Part 24. All that talk and gossip around us is suddenly gone. Is this Buzzin's doing? He works fast. He even delivered the herbs the very next day, and I managed to make potions with them. They're not as good, and a couple are actually kind of bad, but I can still use them. I can't make full potions with them, but I should be able to use them on myself or sell them. In the end, I finished 9 petrification potions. I made more yesterday and used one, so that leaves us with 12. That would leave us with enough for 120 days, but I also should take one to the Alchemist Guild as a sample. Judging by how much of the magic stone and petrification bag I have left, I'd say I probably have enough for 3 more. I give the potions to Layla and tell her to use them if the symptoms start advancing again. As for how much they're worth, I really don't know. I asked Chris, but she doesn't know either. Should I ask Buzzin? He'd probably pay large sums without worrying about it. And so, I head to the Alchemist Guild to get my card and my payment, and give them the sample. I get 4 platinum coins in my card, and the rest mostly in silver and copper coins. They figured I'd want to be paid like that, so they had the money ready in advance. I see. So this is the one? He's really excited. I ask how much petrification cures go for, and it's a pretty steep value. Although the ones I have are incomplete. They've been working on full potions, but things aren't looking great. As I suspected, they don't have one person do the whole thing. For example, they have one person making healing potions, and that person pretty much only makes healing potions. That means that someone who's been making healing potions isn't great at making mana potions, and a lot end up failing. Now they're looking for someone to be the head of this project to increase efficiency. Then I walk around the city with the girls, and after eating at the stalls, we split into 2 groups. Chris and I go meet up with Layla in the Magius Magic Academy, and the others go out shopping in preparation for tomorrow. Are you investigating something? Yes, I want to see if the Academy's library has anything on laurel tree fruit. And so, we head to the library. Oh Tilda, we have quite the rare visitors today. Tilda, did you decide to join our school? Tilda? She sounds as listless as ever. I want to look up information on a certain item. Is that so? Tilda? Those kinds of reference materials are over the Tilda. We're taken to a bookshelf on a corner. Layla stands a little further back, and starts leafing through reference materials. I can see her face in profile, and she looks really serious. Well then, let's start. Take your time Tilda, and tell me if you need anything. Tilda, says Celeste before sitting back down at the reception desk. I'm kind of curious about what book she's reading. Sora, that person. Yes. Can you tell? I couldn't before, but I can now. Do you want to talk to her? I probably shouldn't. I'm sure she has her reasons too. We split up and read silently. Only the noise of pages being flipped fills the air. As time passes, the books themselves are thin, but they don't have tables of contents, so we have to go through them one page at a time. It's easy to understand how they're divided when they have illustrations, but they don't have a set format, so they're honestly not easy to read. We get through the mountain of books we brought, and still nothing. I loosen up my stiff body, put the books in their places, and bring more. I see Chris rubbing her eyes. She's been focusing too. Even with the 2 of us here, we still have a lot of books to get through. I see some descriptions of interesting items, but unfortunately, we still haven't found what we're looking for. Elixir, an item classified as legendary. This would probably cure her, but apparently it's one of those items controlled by governments. The description says it can even raise the dead, but I don't know if that's true. It says they can be obtained in treasure chests in dungeons. Interested Tilda? She scared me. I'm not using presence detection, but still, I didn't notice her until she was right next to me. She could be an assassin, moving like that. Actually, even if I use presence detection, her presence is very shallow. After maxing out presence detection, I've learned that there's still a lot I can't see. Yes, this would probably solve our problem. HN Tilda? Do you know someone close to dying Tilda? I glance over at Layla. What is she looking up anyway? I'm looking for laurel tree fruit to complete a petrification cure, but I don't see that in any book. Ah, laurel tree Tilda? Tilda. So, it's about what happened in the dungeon Tilda? I glance at Layla again, like I'm checking with her. Can I assume she knows what's going on at least to a certain extent? Yes, it's about the cockatrice. There's one person left that isn't healing completely no matter what, and I need laurel tree fruit to heal her. I see Tilda. Laurel tree Tilda. I think you can find that in the Dragon Kingdom Tilda. Really? She actually knows? Tilda. I'm not sure, but I've heard that before Tilda. No guarantees Tilda. I sneak a peek at Chris, and she nervously nods. Apparently there are records of them being found in treasure chests in the dungeon too, but that was hundreds of years ago. Join my Patreon to support me and read ahead. Walking in Another World, Chapter 215, Majolica, Part 25. So, where are we going today? Asks Layla, as I grab the luggage Talia is handing me. We're going outside the city, so she's dressed in her adventurer outfit. This is all because of something you said 3 days ago. That said, I don't know where we're going either. It looks like the girls do, but not me. We go to the southern gate, where Bloody Rose, 1,000 gold coins, and Light of Hope are waiting. The guys are all carrying a lot of luggage, including me. Let's go, big sister. I don't know who said that, but the girls are all excited as they walk, and the rest of us follow in silence. Thank you. It's thanks to you that I got to see my fellow party members again, Sora, says Toto. I think it's incredible that he managed to make it all the way there on his own. I ask him if it wouldn't have been safer for him to use a return stone, but he says he left it with Layla and the others just in case they managed to make it work. Also, the adventurer that came running with Toto, the only survivor of the ones that tried to escape, is apparently from the Borshal Empire. I think his party was called Light Sword. I hear he was imprisoned because he was the one who activated the trap, and later passed on monsters to Toto in order to get away. Among other problematic behavior, he's at risk of becoming a criminal slave. And why did Toto do something so dangerous by himself? Because 2 of the people affected by the breath were his party members. And our Eno caused trouble for you. I'm sorry. It looks like he feels bad because Eno was one of the people at the center of the spread of information about the full potions. Speaking of Eno, she can't leave her house right now. Her mother was furious when she heard that whole mess started because she talked about it with a store's employee, and the employee spread it even further. Information is vital for a merchant, and apparently Toto was told to straighten her out because she carelessly went around talking about that. After exiting through the southern gate, we follow a river further south. There isn't a proper road here, because it's away from the main road, but a lot of people pass through here, so the ground is hard and easy to walk on. We keep following the river, and eventually it goes into a forest. Naturally, we keep following it. I pick up many small reactions with presence detection. There are a lot of small animals around here, but not any monsters. The wind blows and shakes the trees, but doesn't make that much noise. Maybe it's because we're not that close to them. I'm sure it would be really loud if we were actually in the forest, but the noises of the small animals sound pretty ominous too. I'm sure that would take a lot out of me mentally if I didn't have presence detection. Hearing but not seeing really fans up the sense of fear. By the way, Hikari, where are we going? I ask Hikari, who is walking next to me. All I heard was that we'd be staying the night there. Look forward to seeing it when we get there. I'm sure you'll be surprised, Master. That just makes me more curious. Ah, she's just laughing it away. Hikari is always quiet at times like these, so I guess I'll silently walk too. But it's pretty moving to see that she can now laugh naturally like that. This isn't a dungeon, so we can take it easy. We have a lot of people here too. But the girls are happily chatting as they walk, while the guys have to carry heavy luggage, and it doesn't look easy for them. When I ask them if they want me to carry something, they say it's fine, but they really look like they're struggling. By the time we reach our destination, A few people look completely spent. Are you really fine? We really worked hard. We sure did. There's a really great feeling of accomplishment hanging over the guys. I feel out of place because I'm not tired at all. Then I take a good look around. This is the river's estuary, a large lake that's shining as it reflects the light from the sun. It's relaxing. The girls are also excited looking at this scenery. All except one. Is this our destination? Yes, here. I ask, and Hikari responds. So what are we doing here? Taking a mental break, because everyone was worried about Layla. Chris then comes over and explains how this happened. The students in the academy couldn't bear to watch Layla worry about Casey, and so they wanted her to go somewhere she could relax, and that somewhere is here. This place is in the outskirts of Majolica, and a secret yet popular spot among students. Well, taking it easy and watching nature is nice. The water is pretty, and soaking my feet in cold water in this nice weather will probably feel good too. Master, the luggage. I take an item bag out of the item box and give it to Hikari. There's a simple cabin, so the girls take turns going inside. The guys get fidgety watching that, but everyone starts working on setting up tents, and of course, I'm asked to cook. My position doesn't change even here. I knew what was up when people started handing me a lot of ingredients. I use earth magic to make a simple cooking space, and take out stuff like an iron plate and a pot. Everyone came prepared with their own lunch and ate it. But now I'm making soup, and meat. I could also make it barbecue style and put it on skewers with vegetables. Well, if I start now it's going to be ready way too soon, so I'm only making preparations to cook later. Sora, do you need help? I hear from behind me when I start heating up the pot. I casually turn around, but my mind stops. Underwear? No, swimsuit. I'm going to get embarrassed if you look at me with that serious face, says Chris, bringing me back. Why yes, I was just a bit, very surprised. She's also wearing something like a shawl, but that's still more skin exposed than usual. Master, are you cooking? The girls start coming out of the cabin one after the other wearing swimsuits. All the guys stop what they're doing, but I don't think they can help it. Is this the real reason why we're here? Yes, to play in the water, I guess. Hikari sounds like she doesn't really understand it. I see. I didn't understand why we came all the way out here, but the cool water will feel nice in this warm weather. Join my Patreon to support me and read ahead. Walking in Another World, Chapter 216, Majolica, Part 26. It seems I have been worrying you all. I'm done with the preparations to cook, so I'm here with my feet in the water watching Hikari and the others play around. When Layla comes over, I can't hide my surprise at her bold swimsuit, and she immediately rushes to explain. Red Tea, this is Talia's fault. It's all she got for me. They didn't tell Layla where we were going, and I do remember that it was Talia who handed me that luggage. I think Layla wore it anyway because everyone brought her here out of concern for her. Aren't you going to change, Sora? I didn't bring swimwear to begin with, so I'll just watch. And it's been a while since I got to relax and not think about anything, so this isn't bad. I feel like I've been pretty much always thinking about the dungeon ever since I got to Majolica, and haven't ever not felt busy. This conversation doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Layla is also watching the others with her legs in the water. We hear high-pitched, happy voices coming from the girls, and loud yells coming from the guys. I see someone jumping from a rock that's higher than the rest into the lake too. The girls all cheer at the large splash, and the guys rush to be the next to jump. This then repeats a few more times. Aren't you guys just being controlled? It looks like they are having fun. You could go to Layla. Or is it just that you can't swim? I can, but is Casey the reason why she's hesitating? She told me Casey protected her from the breath. I've talked to Casey about it, and she seemed pretty happy with the fact that she protected Layla. And it's less because she's their leader, and more because she idolizes her. Well, there's no point in thinking about that stuff. What will be, and I look at Hikari and the others having fun talking. They've gotten pretty close, but they're going to have to say goodbye soon. I think this will be a nice memory, especially since I'm thinking about leaving Majolica soon. I can hear Layla gulp. Did we ever tell you about what's going on with Sarah and the others? I heard a little. We should continue soon. We made money in the dungeon and got a fair bit of experience out of it, but we need to find a good stopping point. And I think this is the perfect time. Where are you going? The Dragon Kingdom of Rufflet. Rurika and Chris haven't been there yet. That means it's your only chance to be with Hikari and the others. The mood is getting a little dark, so I try to say that with a bright tone. I turn to the side, and see Layla looks a little taken aback. We talk for a while longer, until Layla slaps her cheeks and goes to where the others are. Even if she's putting on a brave face, that's still a change of pace that can help change her state of mind. That might be what Bloody Rose were trying to do to begin with. Right after Layla leaves, Hikari and Mia take her place. Hikari is wearing an athletic type of swimsuit, and Mia is wearing a white bikini with a pero around her waist. Mia looks surprisingly slender when she's like this, but I better think about something else or she's going to glare at me again. Master, I'm tired. It was really nice and cool out there. I give both fruit juice, and they sit down next to me. Hikari starts waving her legs and they're making ripples in the water. I guess she's having fun, and she moves her legs at different times to make ripples. Were you talking to Layla? Yes, about how we're probably going to leave soon. I see. What are you going to do, Mia? I'm going with you, of course, but it will be sad to say goodbye. Yes, our party has been talking about this from time to time, and if we should take Elsa and Alto with us. Of course, I've told Mia that she can stay here if she wants, but she wants to come along. Technically being a slave might have something to do with it too. I think it's time to really start getting dinner ready. What are you two going to do? I'll help. Hikari offers to help, so I clean and dry them with magic. And since the sun is starting to set and it's starting to get cold, they say they're going to change. It's kind of a shame. If we were making lunch, they could have all stayed as they are. I light a fire in the cooking area and put the pot I prepared before on top of it, and then start working on the skewers. I'm only going to roast them when they're all done changing. The pot starts boiling right when Hikari comes back, so I take the opportunity to teach her how to do the finishing touches. It's basically just choosing seasonings, but we have to be careful not to use too much. And I need to make sure I don't leave anything out that I don't want her using. I should probably make something like a measuring cup too. In any case, when I leave it to Hikari, she does a good job cooking at first, but then when it gets to seasoning the food, she starts mixing in all sorts of things. If we can avoid that, it should taste normal. Probably more people start coming back from the lake, so it's time to roast the skewers. Hey guys, don't go ask the girls about daily life magic. Your sorcerer is looking a bit lonely. Never mind, he's showing off his daily life magic to the girls. Oh well, it's fine. Afterwards we enjoy the food, and sleep in tents. I'm in the tent with all the other guys, and they talk about what girl would be their true love or who they'd be good with and stuff like that. I start thinking about that too, until my drowsiness gets the better of me and I fall asleep. Join my Patreon to support me and read ahead. Walking in Another World, Chapter 217, Majolica, Part 27. So this is Guardian Sword's Assembly Hall. I say Assembly Hall, but in a way it's more like a fort. There are strong, tall walls around it that look like they could take a direct hit from a magic attack and not budge. Magic energy detection tells me there's some sort of magic energy effect attached to them too. What kind of effect is it? Appraisal is vague about it. Not that it really matters. Welcome to Guardian Sword. I will take you there. Our identities are checked at the entrance, and when we explain at the reception desk why we're here, a clerk takes us to a training area. Why? The clerk points somewhere, and I see 10 people, including Jake and Dash. I recognize some other faces, and I'm pretty sure they're the ones who caused trouble in the boss room. I can feel bloodlust rising from Hikari and Sarah, but let's just calm down, alright? Thank you for coming. Sorry, we were just training them a little, says Jake as he walks this way. Training? It doesn't look like training to me. So this is that one. As I talk with Jake, a bearded old man also approaches us and looks at me like he's sizing me up. Sorry. This is Garbin, one of our senior members, and someone who fights in the front line. Yes, I'm Garbin. How about it? Do you want to try facing me for just a bit? If you called us here, can I assume you have what I asked for? Yes. Ash, can you bring it here? I ignore Garbin's proposal, and he starts laughing. Ha 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 ha. This guy's interesting. You geese seem full of life. Especially this young lady. You look like you'd give me a good fight. Jake is surprised to hear that, as the people crouching on the ground composing their breaths twist their faces in fear. But that's too bad. If you really are that strong, I'd really like to have you with us. You need to have a better eye for these things, and I need people that'll make my life easier. Hey, break's over, get up, Garvin says as he taps Jake's shoulder twice, and forces the people on the ground to get up. I see, so that's someone who fights in the front line. His level is about the same as Sarah's. I get the feeling that people being protected and guided by that giant back would feel pretty safe exploring. Does his confidence come from his experience? That's the feeling I get from him. And here you go. Jake receives 10 magic stones, all precious ones that can only be obtained from the 30th floor down. That was a pretty unreasonable request to compensate for causing problems before. I take the high-quality magic stones, and I'm pretty happy with them. This being a nuisance fee means I get them for free. Then you can have this. I hand him a return stone. What is this? It's to compensate for the return stone you spent before. I was unconscious, but I heard that you ended up using yours. You're an honest guy. And I don't think I'm going to use it. I see. That said, I still have one in the item box. I don't know if I'll ever use it, but it might come in handy one day. I can also sell it if I ever need money. When are you leaving? We're planning to leave in a few days, depending on when the mithril is delivered. Did you ask Will? Yes, I really want a mithril sword. Yeah, I get that. I really want one when I get back to active duty too. Ash whispers, sounding jealous. A mithril weapon really is a mark of excellence, isn't it? Then they go back to the training area, and enter the circle after being called by Garvin. The ones being trained are falling to the ground, completely spent, and forced to get back up. Part of me feels that's pretty harsh, but Hikari seems pretty happy with it. That's too bad. I wanted to be the one to do it. That's kind of troubling, Hikari. Sarah smiles awkwardly, but she doesn't reject that idea either. It's getting pretty heated again, so we should go before sparks fly this way. Still, I heard what you did in the Holy Kingdom, so I figured there was going to be a bigger fuss when you had trouble with Guardian Sword. Did that not happen this time because of the magic stones? Well, I guess I wasn't planning to explore the dungeon too deeply, and they're a clan that fights on the front lines. I figured they'd have magic stones that are difficult to get, and they're nice to have in case I need them. Sarah is exasperated, but I don't know if I could have gotten them even if I could pay for them. Having that opening increased the chances of getting them. Master, you're wicked. That stings, Hikari. At least call me crafty or something. Let's go meet up with the other three and eat somewhere. The moment Hikari hears that, she starts listing off names of stalls and talking to Sarah. The way she seems to know a lot about this city really makes me feel like we've been here for a while. I can keep things fresh in my item box now, so it might be a good idea to stock up on a lot of things. Hikari is happy when I tell her that, and pulls me by the hand as she runs forward. The stalls aren't going anywhere, you know. I look at Sarah, and she's smiling awkwardly, but also looks kind of happy. Come pick things too, big sister Sarah. Sarah runs after us after Hikari called her, and holds her hand. That means the three of us are now holding hands, but Hikari looks happy, so oh well. We move to the side of the road so we don't get in the way, and Ruruka makes fun of Sarah when she sees us walking like this. But anything she's trying to say or do is eclipsed by Hikari's fully unleashed appetite. We end up spending a lot of money on food. Too much even. But we're going to travel, so I guess I can think of it as a necessary expense. Join my Patreon to support me and read ahead. Walking in Another World, Chapter 218, Majolica, Part 28. Here is what I promised. Check it. I thought it was an unreasonable request, but they really did get me mithril in this short amount of time. I'm also told with an awkward smile that it was thanks to Buzzin's help. And there's a little more than I was expecting. Are you sure I can have this? Casey is my friend's daughter. This is nothing considering you saved her. I haven't saved her just yet. I'm hoping Buzzin and the others can help with that. And that also plays a part in why you're in such a hurry to go to the Dragon Kingdom, correct? He says with a look on his face like he knows exactly what's going on. It's actually true, so I don't deny it, but the information net these nobles have really is frightening. It also sounds like he's in a good mood. Did something good happen recently? All I can say is wait for me. But don't raise your hopes too much. The information I have isn't certain. It's not like I found clear information about it on a document. I'm just trusting Sally's word. Still, despite what I say, I'm hopeful that I can find what I'm looking for. Silly seems like she has a lot of life experience. I say goodbye to Will, and go check on Casey. But since I don't really feel comfortable going to a sick girl's room by myself, Mia is coming too. When we get there, we see Layla is also here. I can picture her being here most of the time when she's in the mansion. Talia has been talking to her about that, but it doesn't seem to be having much effect. I just came by to say goodbye before we left. I see. Thank you for everything, Sora. It's thanks to you that I'm still alive, says Casey, and I can see out of the corner of my eye Layla closing her mouth tightly. We're leaving the rest to the adults. It doesn't look like the cures I can make right now will be enough. No, you've done enough. I completely gave up back in the dungeon, but I'm actually still able to talk to Lady Layla like this. She smiles, but her face soon darkens again. She might be feeling guilty about worrying Layla. Casey looks like she has fun listening to us talk about what we've been doing recently. Mostly Hikari's quest to conquer Majolica's food stalls, but eventually she starts to look tired, and it's time to leave. Sora. Layla comes up behind us and starts to say something, but it looks like she can't get the words out, as she opens and closes her mouth several times. Layla, look after Casey, I say while giving her a small tap on the shoulder, and it feels like she lets go of that tension. The next morning, in front of the place Will got for us, a few people are gathered, including Will himself. Please look after Elsa and Alto. Don't worry about that. They will become great maids under my guidance, says Talia, full of confidence. Wouldn't Alto be a butler? Will and another person, Casey's father, smile awkwardly. My eyes met theirs, so I nod as if asking to look after her. But they shake their heads. Are you saying even the two most important people here can't stop Talia? Elsa and Alto themselves are talking to Hikari and the others. I think they're finding it hard to say goodbye. The Dragon Kingdom sounds rough, and it's most likely not a good place to take two kids. But wait, isn't Hikari around that age too? Then again, she did get a lot of training in the dungeon. There's a route that's safe and can be traversed by wagon, but it goes through the Holy Kingdom. That means we'll be traveling by wagon through the Magic State, but we're walking after that. I hear that crossing the mountains will be particularly tough. Well then you two. We're planning to come back once we've done what we've set out to do, so listen to Talia and learn from her in the meantime. I say, and they nod deeply. I'm kind of worried too, but I'll just trust that it'll be alright. I also asked them to look after a house Will got for us. I mentioned it in passing among one of my requests, because I don't know if I'll be living here in the future, and for some reason he actually accepted. We get on a wagon that will take us to the border city Rule. It would be best for me to just walk, but we're going by wagon to save time. We need to get that laurel tree fruit before they run out of petrification cures. I talked about it with Buzzin before we left, and he said he'd contact us if Casey's petrification was fully cured. There's an alchemist guild in the Dragon Kingdom too. I also asked Layla to contact us through the Adventurer Guild if anything happened. Take care. We say goodbye to Bloody Rose, and we're off. A noble's wagon really is something else. The way it shakes is nothing like the regular ones. Until we leave the city, that is. The wagon was going along quietly in the city, but once we get out, we start going faster through the main road. I did say we're in a hurry, but well, at least it seems stable, so at least I don't have to worry about that. I look at Rurika and Chris, and they're looking at the scenery outside with composed expressions on their faces. They're used to traveling, so it's different for them. Hikari and Mia look like they're having fun in a different way, and look excited. And Sarah looks kind of restless. The scenery outside seems to go by slowly, compared to what I'm used to in cars and trains, but going slowly feels right for this scenery full of nature. Join my Patreon to support me and read ahead. Walking in Another World, Chapter 219, Mithril Weapon and Magic Equipment. It's fun looking outside the window in the wagon, but I figure I might as well use this time to make a weapon. And since I have mithril, I'll start with a mithril sword for me. I already have in mind what I want, so I'll just follow that. And what I end up with is a mithril sword that's similar in shape to the one I'm currently using, with one difference. I have the same decoration, a mark of sorts on the handle that's on Hikari and Rurika's weapons. Once I'm done with it, I start working on axes for Sarah. She says she wants double-edged ones like the axes she currently uses, so I use ore for the handles, and attach the mithril blade into them. Sarah also says that mithril is a little light, So I make the handles a little heavier. Then I attach a little something with a magic stone, so even a small amount of magic energy can flow into the weapons. I don't know how useful this will be, but it might come in handy eventually. I explained to Sarah how to use it, and all that's left is for her to check them when we hop off the wagon to take a break. "Master, are you done working?" asks Hikari. "There are more things I want to make, but I'm taking a break. It's almost lunchtime anyway. The horses need to rest too." The driver is also aware of that, and when he finds a space to park the wagon, he stops and tends to the horses. It's clear that he's used to this. In the meantime, I get lunch ready. Everything's done already, so I'm basically just heating up the food. I get food for the driver too, and we start eating. "By the way, Sora, I met Siphon and the others in the guild the other day, and they said to tell you thanks," says Rorika while we eat. "That's right. When I was walking around the city with Hikari, we bumped into Fred and Siphon, and I gave them some potions. Fred wanted to pay, but I said number. I told him it's to thank them for what they did for us." Fred didn't understand what I meant, but that makes sense, because it was mostly directed at Siphon. "I couldn't tell them who I am, but I hope I can eventually, and thank Siphon and his party for all their help." When I told them we were leaving the city, they told me they'd be leaving soon too. Did they? According to Chris, they're headed to Preeks. Didn't they come here because they couldn't explore the dungeon over there? Yes, but apparently they heard that they can go in now, so they're going there to check it out. And I hear that they recruited more members, and their party is up to about 15 people. Apparently these people were impressed by Geetz's guidance, and Fred and the others are happy to have more girls around. But why leave a dungeon they're used to and go over there? They said exploring the 5th floor made them interested in that kind of field-type dungeon. It's the same for us too, I guess, but they said it's easier to fight in open spaces than in passages. We're used to that, but I assume some people have trouble adapting. And there's another plus to that dungeon. People say that you can come and go on every floor. I see. We'll just have to ask them what it was like the next time we meet. Although I don't think we'll get to see them so soon. After the break is over, we go back to the wagon. Now I'll be making equipment for Chris and Mia with the magic stones I got from Jake. I'm making a bracelet with magic ore and a magic crystal in mithril. Then I combine a few magic stones to make good quality magic stones, embed them in the bracelets, and infuse them with magic energy. "What effect do these have?" asks Mia, and I show her. By infusing them with magic energy, they can activate a half-transparent shield from the bracelets. They're basically magic energy shields. We still need to test how strong they are, and how the amount of magic energy infused changes them. Is this to improve our defensive power so people don't have to cover for us? Partially. But the most important aspect is for you to have a way to protect yourselves. And since you two have a lot of magic energy, you should be able to use these well. The 3 girls on the Vanguard would probably not have enough magic energy to use them. Especially Sarah, Hikari and Rorika might be able to use them. But then they might not have enough magic energy to use for their attacks. Mana potions would fix that issue, but still, if I got magic stones of the same quality, I could make a spare. But it's not going to be easy to find something good enough. Hunting them for myself sounds like a pain, and I don't think we'll come across many superior species to begin with. 10 days after we left Majolica, we passed through Lockyer and Reachral, the city on the border between the magic state of Ifar and the Dragon Kingdom of Rufflet. Looking towards the Dragon Kingdom of Rufflet from here, all we see is its majestic mountain range, that almost looks like it's there to stop us from advancing. Join my Patreon to support me and read ahead. Walking in Another World, Chapter 220, Intermission, Part 10. Same as always. What do you want? I'm busy. That brat Adu screwed up my plans. It's about that. The saint is alive. What? Is that true? Yes. I checked it myself. I see. HN? But the saint's death was publicly announced, and that was never corrected. Was that a cover-up? No, they shouldn't need to do that. It's more like she's acting of her accord. I believe the more influential people aren't aware that she is alive. What? Then what is the point? Don't worry about that. I am making it so she is being led here. Who did you ask to do this? Old friends. All right. Then I will make preparations. The experiment means the prospects of it being complete are good. I see. So it's finally. Yes. The fateful hour is near. What do you think the success rate is? I really can't say, but I want to end it with this. What is going on? Mr. Kido has returned. Did something happen? All right, just take me there. Kido. It looks like there was a tough counterattack. Yes, damn it. Next time I'll kill him for sure. Were they that strong? Not at first, but there was one that had really tough defense. When it looked like I finally broke through it, another one slashed at me. And then, I see, we should have cut them down when they were weak. They were conscious of that too, and wouldn't let them leave their nest a lot. I sent out bait a few times as well. You have a point. And we even got information at an early stage. No, I can't deny that I was still underestimating them. This is one of those things that people won't understand unless they experience it themselves. Was it the young ones that were taken down? Yes. And the result? 2 are out of action. But I don't know if they're dead. Another was kidnapped and thrown in a cell, so go have a look later. All right. We really can't hold back against them. Next time, I'm going to have to go at it with intent to kill right from the start. That is fine by me. If one side has to die, it's obvious which one I pick. Good. And from what I felt while fighting them, I think with this, they will definitely awaken. I see. Then we have less time than we thought. Aren't we going to attack? The Demon King will probably be against it, but I think we can once the barrier is gone. I see. Of course. And that is what I wanted to talk about. It seems the old man also has an idea. Grandpa, is he all right? He's not senile, so don't worry. And if this goes well, all right. Then contact me later. I plan to stay here for a while. Yes, let's do that. What about the monsters? If they attack, we will smash them together. They will move on their own too if they enter their territory. What? Don't get so worked up. It's about the saint. She's alive. That can't be. So forget about the old man getting mad at you. Wait. You don't believe me, do you? Well, she died right in front of me. Did you check if it was really her? I guess I didn't go that far, but anyway, there is no doubt that the saint is alive. I confirmed that myself. All right, don't sulk. So what are you going to do? What do you mean what? I don't know when it will be, but the humans will attack eventually. And it won't be very long until they do. I'll fight them. Of course. I'll protect the Demon King. I see. But they're different from the humans we've fought so far. Are you saying you understand that? Of course I do. Then I have nothing more to say. Kido should be staying here for the time being, so train in the meantime. It sounds like he actually fought them, so he should be able to tell you what works and what doesn't. Yes, I get it. Thanks. If he says no, at least consider giving up. I'm sure the Demon King doesn't want to see that either. Yes. Join my Patreon to support me and read ahead. Walking in Another World, Chapter 221, Amano Kotri. My name is Amano Kotri. I was a middle schooler in Japan, but one day, I was summoned to another world. It felt so oppressive. Everywhere I looked there were big imposing people, and I was being watched everywhere I went. I received a rare job, Spirit Mage, and was told to go meet a certain person to learn spirit magic. Her face was so beautiful that I couldn't help but stare, but I never saw her smile. She was just like an emotionless doll, and she told me what I needed to know in a pretty robotic way. Also, I got the feeling that her ears were pointy, but I only saw them once and for just a second, so I couldn't say for sure. You sure worked hard. After a lot of work, I managed to form a contract with a spirit. The minimum I needed to be a spirit mage. Her patting my head for it left a big impression on me. I can still remember the warmth of her hand, but I never saw her again after that. I asked my attendants about her, but I was just told she was working another job. And then, it was one scary thing after another. I trained with the knights, and was taken to all sorts of places and made to fight monsters. They gave me warnings to try to prevent me from getting hurt, but those monster groans I heard up close, those pain sounds I heard up close as they died, and above all else, those eyes filled with hatred and colored by insanity. Even if I close my eyes, I can still see them in my dreams. That's how much it's all burned into my brain. It got worse for a while, and I spent days having nightmares, but I still managed to not go crazy, thanks to the spirit that formed a contract with me and my fellow countrymen. 2 older girls in particular, Ki and Miharu, were especially helpful. They probably had it pretty bad themselves, but they were always cheering me up. That really helped me. And as for their jobs, Ki was a paladin, and Miharu a saint. I gradually got used to this world, and just as I was gaining a bit of confidence, everything started to fall apart like a cogwheel broke somewhere. At first it was a small deformation that got fixed right away, and I didn't notice it. By the time I was aware of it, it was too late. Something strange. Key's words were like prophecy, and eventually it started weighing on us in the form of reality. There was this older boy that was like an ideal older brother at first, but he started spitting out violent words, and it became common for him to be abusive to the attendants. Sometimes he would even get violent. I was scared, but all I could do was tremble. He talked to him about it several times, but he never listened. What happened that made him change that drastically? I didn't know. And one day we left the royal capital and went to a different country. There was something there called a dungeon, where we fought monsters every day. Of course, there were also days off, but I was basically locked in a room all the time. I feel like I wanted to avoid contact with other people as much as possible. Eventually, we reached a floor so deep that no one had reached it before, fought its gatekeeper, and after a lot of effort, managed to take it down. It's over. Taking that monster down and collecting its materials was our objective. And of course, fighting all those monsters meant my level went up. At that point I pretty much never lost in mock battles against the knights. Still, I didn't feel proud. All I felt was a sense of it is what is. And 2 weeks later, something happened. We left the city where the dungeon was, stopped by that country's capital, and were attacked on the way back to the kingdom. Demons! Someone yelled, and we were plunged into hell. The ones called demons, who had horns on their heads and wings on their backs, cut through the human knights like paper, before coming for us. He stepped in front of me, and Miharu cast healing magic. All I could do was shrink away in fear. I fought a dragon deep in the dungeon, but this was way scarier. I feel like maybe I understand why that is now, but at the time I had no idea. I only moved when I saw Key collapse in front of me, and the blood flowing from her. If only I was better, I thought. I borrowed strength from the spirit, and unleashed my magic. One of the demons saw it and looked surprised, and that's the last thing I remember, because by the time I regained consciousness, I was in a cell. I guess they captured me. What happened to Key after I lost consciousness? No one would tell me. I was in a cell, but I wasn't really being treated poorly. They brought me food too, but no matter how many times I tried calling the spirit, I didn't get an answer. And eventually, a demon came to my cell. I looked at him once, and it was enough. Those cold eyes. I thought my heart was going to stop. My body started shaking, and I shrunk back to try to get away. Obviously, the wall behind me wouldn't let me, and then I met the person they call Demon King. I heard about Sora, the one that was summoned along with us, and that Key was worried about, heard the truth about our summoning, and was taken to a certain place. What is this place? I asked, but didn't get a response. The demon was walking silently, so I ran a little to catch up. His steps were much bigger than mine. We eventually arrived at a small town. There were many different people. That person had dog ears. I'm pretty sure they're called beast people. Everyone was looking our way, and speaking with a smile. The demon didn't really respond, but the other's eyes told me he was respected. Finally, we reached a house, and the door was opened. I heard a voice coming from inside, and when we went in, I saw someone playing with small children. I was later told this race is called elf, and I feel like those pointy ears are the same as the ones the person I met in the kingdom had. Mr. Ignis, is something the matter? The demon then talked to the elf, and went off somewhere. The elf walked towards me, hugged me tightly, and whispered in my ear. You had it rough, didn't you? But it's all right now. The moment I heard that, tears came bursting out, along with my voice. I just cried and yelled, with no shame. We were surrounded by small children, but I was the one crying. Join my Patreon to support me and read ahead. Walking in Another World, Chapter 222, Majolica, Sally's point of view. Oh Tilda. We have a rare visitor Tilda. Someone appears in front of me just as I'm finishing today's work and getting ready to go home. It's someone who is pretty popular around here, the guild master of the Adventurer Guild. It's been a while, and thank you very much. HN Tilda? For what Tilda? You granted Mr. Ignis' wish. Oh, that? I did guide them. But that really is a special thing that can only be obtained there. Maybe they could find it in the dungeon if they were extremely lucky, but the odds are very low. It's not like I really listened to his request or anything Tilda. I just told them because they were after that thing Tilda. Even so, if Miss Sally's hadn't told them about it, it would have taken longer. I can't argue with that. Even she didn't know about it. No, Ignis might have ended up telling her. Also tilde, I can't have him go crazy in here tilde. If I treated him like an enemy, I might have caused a riot. Reese says Ignis would never do that, but that's because she doesn't know him very well. Things are calm now, but, well, it's fine for now. So, what do you need tilde? Miss Celise, are you planning to stay here? I am tilde. I don't think that's strange tilde. But the humans. I get why she's worried, but it's ironic considering she's a human on the side of the demons, who are said to be enemies of mankind. It's true that it's hard for people like me to live in human societies. Although I don't remember when it came to be like that. It's alright tilde. It's not like all humans are bad tilde, and tilde. I can't leave this land. Who knows what would happen if I abandoned the dungeon, after the demons messed with it. A long time ago, during the reign of the king that was said to have become a lunatic in his later years, they tried to mess with me, and I did leave this land. And then monsters started bursting out of the dungeon, and there was all sorts of trouble. Now it's just a nice memory, how they laughed at me with scorn when I tried to discuss my concerns with them, and how in the end they came crying to me asking for help. I can't help but smile, remembering those faces covered in tears and snot. The contract I formed then is still active today, so if I'm harmed, this country will be punished. Kind of like divine punishment in a way. I guess I really was smiling. I can't even describe the look Reese is giving me. Anyway tilde, you don't have to worry about that tilde. Actually, are you alright tilde? I have this. So yes. And to begin with, Reese seems to be holding some sort of magic item. It looks pretty elaborately made, and it represses its magic energy response to the point where you wouldn't notice it unless you were looking for it. I see tilde. Well, let's just say neither of us should overdo it then tilde. I think our opinions are going to continue running parallel and never intersect, so it's best to end this conversation here. So, is there anything else tilde? No, that is all. I see tilde. We have other eyes on us, so we should probably refrain from seeing each other tilde. It's not really a problem, because I have a partner watching over our surroundings, but just in case. If it comes to that, I could do something, but Reese is pretty weak. Of course, there's also the fact that I'm just too strong. Reese bows deeply, and vanishes into the darkness. She's kind of awkward. I worry about her. Good grief, playing with a lady's heart like that. I need to give Ignis a mouthful over that. I look in the direction of the Dragon Kingdom of Rufflet, and remember the boy reading the book whose letters normal people can't read, like it was nothing. And that girl that was with him. I thought back to it like time had stopped. It was like I was seeing my old friend. The way she looked at him. Was it love? Probably. That's why I was worried. And sure enough, Ignis told me he came from another world. I figured he wasn't a normal human, since he could read that book, but of all things, another worlder. No, I think deep down, I knew it will be fine tilde. But tilde, the boy got away from the hands of politicians, but I feel like Ignis wants to use him for something. For what? I don't know. I just hope he can stay in peace with no issues tilde. I can't help but wish for that. I want young people to be happy, and not be stained by anything. Join my Patreon to support me and read ahead. Walking in Another World, Chapter 223, Mountain Path, Part 1. I knew it when I looked at it from afar too. But now that I'm actually climbing the mountain, I really feel how tough it is. Someone in the inn where we stayed in the border city called it a natural fortress, and that's exactly what it is. The flat road stops at the foot of the mountain, just like we were told when we heard it was impossible to keep going by wagon, and what follows is something with bad footing that can barely be called a road. The road is also barely wide enough for people to be able to pass by each other. There aren't any railings either, so if you misstep, you're slipping off this incline. It's steep too, so there are a lot of spots where I'm pretty sure someone would get hurt pretty badly if they fell. And despite all that, people do come and go through this path, so there are a few spots along the way where we can rest. They're pretty cramped for groups of people that want to take a break, so I think it'd be impossible to send an army through here. Humanity, I guess. Anyway, they stopped fighting to join forces against the Demon King. But this place might be the real reason why they stuck with it. But I think there are other, easier routes, so that might not be it. It's hard to breathe, says Mia while crouching. As we get higher, our breaths get whiter, and we start to feel cold. That's mitigated to a certain extent, because we knew we were going to the Dragon Kingdom, gathered information, and prepared ourselves for it. but we still tremble when the wind blows. We're equipped against the cold, but it's still cold. Master, I want something hot. Even Hikari, who usually hangs in there and doesn't complain, is like this. You don't just feel like eating, do you? We advance until we find a place where we can take shelter, and I give hot soup to everyone. When we're all close like this, I can use magic to protect us from the cold, but doing it over a larger area would drain my MP, and I'd have to move it as we move too, so it'd be pretty hard to control. Everyone takes the bowls like they're accepting something important, and drinks the soup with happy expressions. Seeing those happy faces makes me stop moving without even thinking. Master? What's wrong? Nothing. Do you want more? Yes. Even if it feels out of place, I can't tell her that this soft atmosphere is making me feel happy. This environment is harsh, but it's still more relaxing than the brutal mood in the dungeon, although that might change as we advance. Is that tree over there the marker we were told about? The tree Roruka is talking about has a distorted shape and feels eerie. The weather is clear, but there's a dark atmosphere around that spot and that spot alone. We were told that once we pass that tree, the road gets less steep and wider, and apparently it's about halfway through the mountain. Also, if we stray a little from the road, there are a lot of trees growing from the mountain surface, and many different kinds of beings live there, including monsters and people. I hear there's even a small settlement in a forest far away from the road. Map doesn't show me anything, so at the very least, these monsters and people aren't within its range. We also need to be careful about bandits, and although I haven't heard anything about monsters attacking, there have been reports of sightings. There really isn't a whole lot of information, because not a lot of people go to the Dragon Kingdom to begin with. Apparently these two countries established a relationship hundreds of years ago, but at some point they stopped proactively working on maintaining relations, and they slowly fell apart until we get to present time. Still, merchants do travel there, after the precious items that can only be found in the Dragon Kingdom. There's also a trial that's said to grant new powers if you complete it. Adventurers travel there because of it, but who knows if it's real. The more I hear about it, the less likely it seems that they took slaves there. Would Slavers really go out of their way to take slaves over there? Even if they went through another route, the elevation alone means they'd still need to be prepared to face the cold, and those preparations would be costly. That's true, but there are rumors that the Dragon Kingdom was harboring slaves. But they didn't go there to check because they weren't sure if it was true. And the path to the Dragon Kingdom is so harsh. There's also the fact that this all started with the war against the Empire, so it stood to reason that the people they were looking for were taken to the Empire. That was the case with Sarah too. Wasn't it hard with just the two of you anyway? I ask, and they say that they didn't have that tough of a time looking for their friends in the beginning. But when they went to the Kingdom of Eluzia and failed to find them there, and the same happened after they went around a few towns in the Beast Kingdom, they started to feel pretty anxious. We were grasping at straws, so we came running when we got that letter. How many times have I heard Roruka complain about her struggles? She's not even drunk, is she? Sarah and Chris are smiling awkwardly, but she's probably just talking away her worries. If Eris isn't there, that thought probably crosses her mind all the time. Well then, ready to keep going? The sun is still high in the sky, and if we're going to camp, it should be in a place that's a bit better suited for us to protect ourselves against the rain and wind. Of course, walking around in the dark is dangerous, so we're stopping before it gets too dark. I have magic items with a night vision effect that I bought for the dungeon, so it's not like we can't walk in the dark at all, but it still makes our vision worse. Not to mention that it gets colder at night. And there's the fact that we're not used to walking on a mountain path. The circumstances dictate that we can't go at a leisurely pace, but we also can't rush because we might fall, so in the end we have to be careful about our footing as we advance. Join my Patreon to support me and read ahead. Walking in Another World, Chapter 224, Mountain Path, Part 2. We found a shallow cave, so that's where we're camping. There's some danger that it will collapse, so I also didn't forget to reinforce it with earth magic. We also set up tents because of the wind. We're taking turns keeping watch, and I'm currently watching over our surroundings with Hikari. That said, I don't see any reaction worth taking notice. Hikari is on alert, but we talk about all sorts of things. Master, what's the tastiest thing you've eaten? That's a difficult question. HN. I guess what I ate in the royal capital. It all tends to revolve around food. She also has a lot of questions about the food in my world. She's very interested in it, because I've been cooking things that are similar to what I had before. That said, I can't replicate it perfectly. Even better than this? She asks many times with a shine in her eyes. Well, the ingredients were different, and so was the skill of people cooking. But talking to Hikari reminds me of what I ate there, and makes me want to give it a shot too. I think Hikari plays a big part in me not forgetting about my old world, at least when it comes to food. Well, I also think about it when I try to come up with stuff to cook. As I hear the crackling fire and see the side of Hikari's face illuminated by it, I think about how it looks as young as she is. We keep talking, until eventually, light starts shining into the cave. Is it morning already? I was so focused on our conversation that I completely lost track of time. Of course, that doesn't mean I wasn't also paying attention to keeping watch. Master, breakfast? Yes. Is there anything you want in particular? Meat. Keep your voice down. You're going to wake everyone up. And I can't just make meat, or the others will complain. So how about vegetable soup with tomato sauce? And meat skewers? And as I think about what to make and start cooking, the others start waking up. Were they drawn by the smell? Hikari looks to be looking forward to it the most, as she hums while she waits. Her face is back to being a little unemotional, but it's perfectly clear that she can't wait. It really warms the body. Everyone's eating the soup with a cheese topping and bread. We won't last the day without a good breakfast. We clean up, and get going right away. We find some steep inclines here and there. Our footing gets worse, and we start to get kind of impatient about not advancing as fast as we want, but we really can't rush things here, and we just have to bear with it and take it slow. It looks like we're following a forest path from here. Everyone be careful. I'm counting on you, Sarah. All right. I'll be cutting branches that are in the way, so don't go too fast. And since the wood she cuts down can be used as firewood, I make sure to collect it. Halfway through the back and front row switch positions, so I go in front. It's a little dark in here, because the thickly grown branches block most of the sunlight. It doesn't disturb our walking, but the toughest part is the cold. We don't get the warmth from the sun, and the icy wind that blows from time to time cools our bodies. Even the thick clothes we're wearing don't block the cold completely, so we also have cloaks and robes on. They kind of get in the way when we fight, but it's better than not being able to move at all because we're too cold. And for that reason, we have to be more careful than usual about our surroundings, and I keep presence detection active at all times while we move. Master, there's a storm coming. Sora, a storm is coming. Sarah and Chris say all of a sudden. Sarah's ears twitch, and magic energy swirls around Chris. I look up, and see what little light was reaching us disappear. I feel like the temperature is going down too. Would it be dangerous to keep going? I don't have any mountain climbing experience. I look around in a relatively large area with map. This place is rich with earth, so maybe I can use my magic to make a house. It's been a while but I'm sure it'll be fine. We move to an empty space I found with map that looks good, and I start using magic. Rurika and Chris are surprised, because I didn't do this in the dungeon. What is this? It's a house. It's not very big, because I didn't have a lot of space to work with. No, this is a little. No, this is very strange. Rurika looks to the other three, hoping they would agree, but they just tilt their heads. Is this magic too? Chris on the other hand just sounds intrigued, as she touches a wall made of dirt. It's an application of earth magic. Let's just go in for now. It looks like it's starting to rain. We go in one at a time, as a few drops start falling. I basically just managed to make the exterior. It's bigger than a tent, but smaller than an actual house. We can lay down sheets and sleep on them, but I still need a proper cooking area, especially somewhere the smoke can leave from. Sarah, look after the fire. We need to keep warm. They said a storm is coming, so I should reinforce the walls with magic energy a little more. How are you doing that, Sora? Asks Chris, and I explain after she puts on magic energy seeing glasses. That said, it's not like there's a certain formula or anything. It's pretty much like infusing a weapon with magic energy. So you used pure earth magic, not alchemy to build the house? Maybe a bit of both, but it's like I solidified the dirt to give it a solid shape. Like I used magic energy to make it solid, I guess. It sounds like it needs a lot of magic energy. Maybe using skills means it doesn't use as much as it should. And my natural healing is pretty fast too. I guess it would normally be pretty tough for someone to do this alone. Not that I've ever seen anyone else do it. Chris looks exasperated, but keeps watching until I'm done. Join my Patreon to support me and read ahead. Walking in Another World, Chapter 225, Mountain Path, Part 3. The sound of the rain gets louder with time. The wind is getting rougher too, and I hear it smacking against the windows. But we're all listening to the sound of the crackling fire, while sitting around it. I guess we're stopping for a while, says Ruruka, and I see she's looking at the other side of the glass window. The sun is completely blocked, and the world outside looks dark. And it's only getting darker. Magic sure is useful. It makes me want to give it a shot too, whispers Sarah while looking around this cabin. But Chris disagrees. This isn't normal magic. It isn't. Yes, magic is mostly used to fight. So I don't think most people would use it like this. At the very least, I've never heard of an adventurer using magic in this manner, Chris says, explaining magic to Sarah and the others. It's true, this isn't the sort of magic that pops into my head when I learn skills. I picture what I want to do while making magic energy flow. Maybe it's easier to understand if I say it's closer to alchemy than regular magic. You said there's no magic in your world. So where did you get the idea to use magic like this? There really isn't magic in my world, but there's all sorts of magic in fantasy. I try my hardest to explain, and it looks like Chris understands it. I cover things like light novels, manga, and games, and how they lead people to think, hey, this would be useful. People really are constantly asking for more. And so, I thought about uses that looked like they'd be useful, tried them out, and that's how I got here. Well, it is useful. Do you think you could do it if you learned how, Chris? I won't know until I try, but I'm not too good with earth magic. Maybe I could do it if I was asked. Everyone's chatting, but I turn my eyes to Mia because I notice she's quiet. She seems down. Are you all right, Mia? Yes, I am. I'm just tired. She looks kind of unwell. That feels nice. I put my hand on her forehead, and she lets out a sigh with a drowsy look in her eyes. Do you have a fever? I ask, but don't get a response. What's wrong, Sora? Mia doesn't look well. I think she has a fever too. You're right. We should let her rest. And we should probably change her clothes to something a little looser. Do you have sheets, Sora? I hand sheets to Ruruka, and she uses them to make a partition. All I hear is the rustling of clothes. There's nothing I can do. If this is altitude sickness, should we make sure she gets plenty of fluids? She probably has no appetite, but should we inject iron into her? I don't really know a lot about altitude sickness. It's at times like these that I really wish I could use the internet. We don't have any medicine that can help, so I guess we just have to wait until her body gets used to it. Master, is Mia all right? Asks Hikari. I think she will be if she rests. Let's just watch over her for now. It's not like we're going anywhere in this weather anyway. Yes. Let's look after her, says Hikari with a worried tone before disappearing behind the sheets. Maybe I can't help but be impatient. But it could be that Mia picked up on how much of a hurry I was and pushed herself too much. I need to make that cure and give it to Casey before the medicine I left for her runs out. That's why we need to hurry and get to the Dragon Kingdom, where that laurel tree fruit is supposed to be. And we're probably going faster than we should be. What do we do about keeping watch, Master? Asks Sarah. I reinforced the cabin with magic, and there's a barrier too, so maybe there's no need for that. There aren't any reactions around here either. I'll stay alert, but let's all rest today. All right. I look out the window, and see that the rain turned into snow. It looks like it'll get colder too, so be sure to stay warm. We should take turns watching the fire, says Chris, and that's what we'll do. But since we don't need to keep watch, one person can stay up and watch the fire. Yes, I'll leave plenty of firewood. I'm really glad I collected it on the way here. I can light it with magic, but I need fuel to keep it burning. It's not easy to keep fire magic going, and if I don't control it well, it might cause an explosion. I tell that to Chris, and she says I absolutely shouldn't do it. But come on. Even I wouldn't do something that reckless with other people around. I guess I'll just use skills like transfer and increase their proficiency. Join my Patreon to support me and read ahead. Walking in Another World, Chapter 226, Mountain Path, Part 4. It's so white. Is this your first time seeing snow? Hikari, snow? Yes, it's cold. That's the first thing that happens when we step outside. According to Hikari, it's never snowed in the kingdom of Elysia. Then again, she told me that before she was left outside, she was always in a dimly lit place, so maybe it does snow and she just never saw it. She said she was trained in a special place, but she scoops up some snow, and looks at it and touches it with an intrigued look on her face. Now she's diving into it. I feel like I was just as excited the first time I saw snow, and Ruroka is watching her with a smile on her face. Chris and Sarah were like that too. You too, Ruroka. Sarah fires back, and for some reason that starts a snowball fight. Hikari joins in too, but I get the feeling that a snowball fight between them might get nasty. I know they're not serious, but their fastballs would turn a pro baseball player pale. Chris makes sure to back off to not get caught in the crossfire. Master, my hands are cold. Well, of course they are. You're grabbing snow with your bare hands. From there, it turns into a conversation about how to fight, for some reason. Of course, after we go back to the cabin, you should have a more set way of fighting, Sora. You are very talented, but I agree with Ruroka, Master. Yes, that is true. Ruroka and Sarah point out that flaw, and Hikari agrees. But don't talk while you eat, Hikari. And what about, gun? It didn't look very effective. She's talking about how the regular bullets aren't much of a threat. I ask her to explain further, and she says that unless I shoot from close range, the enemy will probably block or dodge them. But they do work on enemies that don't know what it is, and it works if it explodes. But if you're using it at close range, it's always going to occupy one hand. And that thing you do sometimes when you get close and use magic without an incantation works better. That's true. And since Mia and Chris have better defense now, you can probably go in front more often. If you get close and fire magic, that's harder to block. And in your case in particular, if you can attack with your sword in front and activate magic behind the enemy, that'll really throw them off. As I listen to Sarah and Ruroka, I think about whether that would work. I can probably change where magic is activated, but I think I'll need to practice it. Remember the thing you said before, Jack of all trades, master of none? I think you're going to turn into that. Lately, Ruroka has been getting stronger faster. The difference in level meant we were close to evenly matched when we first started exploring the dungeon, but now I'd lose in a pure sword fight. I feel like I've had less time to do mock battles, since I've been spending more time on stuff like alchemy. They have a point in that I've had too much to do and I haven't been able to focus on one single thing. I think it's nice to be able to do lots of things. I can only use a sword, so I'm actually jealous. But you still need to come up with a set way to fight for when things get tough. Yes, if you run after two hares you'll catch neither. I look at Hikari with surprise, and ask her if she knows what that means. She says she doesn't, and that she doesn't understand why she said that. If I mix transfer with magic bullets, that might make the gun more useful, but it'll probably be rough on my MP. I could also rework the gun and make it so it shoots faster, but even with parallel thinking, it might be hard to use a gun and a sword at the same time. I generally use my sword with one hand, but I need to use both when I'm being overpowered, especially when superior species use their big bodies and ridiculous strength to attack. You've been slacking lately. You should do more mock battles with me, says Hikari after finishing what she was eating and sitting next to me. Is that because a lot has been going on lately, and we haven't been spending as much time together? I pat her head, and she leans towards me while happily squinting. What are you talking about? Chris and Mia come out from the back. Mia immediately apologizes, but it's not her fault she's not feeling well. I'm not used to mountains either, and it just so happened that it happened to Mia. Are you feeling better? Yes, I'm fine now. I look closely, but it looks like she's telling the truth. Let's just eat well to recover our strength and leave tomorrow. But if it starts to feel tough, we'll stop. Of course. I could leave right now. But there's a lot of snow. We're not leaving today either way. Snow. I hope it melts by tomorrow. Chris' concerns aren't unfounded. The temperature is low, so will it actually melt? Chris, wouldn't that work? I don't know. We'd have to try it. I'll ask. Chris undoes her disguise, and calls spirits. They're talking about something, but from here it just looks like Chris is muttering to herself. Yes, I think it will be all right. It would be tough now, but what about tomorrow when we leave? She asks, and everyone nods. And then, It just flows naturally into them, asking Chris and Mia to cook, so I can do mock battles in this cold air. They say it's so we can shake the cobwebs, but I feel like there's more to it than that. My feet get caught in the snow and it's hard to move. Doing this in an environment I'm not used to means I start sweating just by moving a bit. I need to use basic daily life magic to clean myself and dry the sweat when this is over. Join my Patreon to support me and read ahead. Walking in Another World, Chapter 227, Mountain Path, Part 5. Master, can't you put this house in storage? Asks Sarah as we're leaving. I built it straight from the ground, so I don't think so. But if I didn't, would it be possible? Not with this one. And I have to consider how much room I have. I never thought about that. I'm also curious about what would happen to the stuff inside if I did store the cabin. Would it all be counted as just the cabin? Would it count the cabin and everything inside individually? I don't remember ever putting an item bag in the item box either. I could try, but only if I can't build a house. Can't you do that with alchemy? It sounds like Rurika is also drawn by the comfort of a house. Could I do it if I had the materials? I can only imagine they'd start asking for more features if I did manage to do it. But having stuff like a bath would be nice. Mostly so I could just relax. Rurika and Chris like baths too, but they don't mind just choosing magic to clean themselves. Probably because they've been adventurers for a long time. It's like, they'll use a bath if it's there, but don't go out of their way to do it. And if I just choose dirt, I'd have to use magic energy from time to time, so I should probably buy actual materials. But it would also stand out a lot near main roads. It'd be hard to find a time to actually use it. In any case, for now, I'll just take this cabin apart, kind of like I'm destroying evidence. Alright then, let's go. Silver hair fluttering and reflecting light in this snowscape looks beautiful. That's what I think as I look at Chris, who seems to be surrounded by spirits. The flow of magic energy gives that away. I have to walk in front, so let's change our formation a little. Chris says, but having her take the lead is dangerous, so we have her walk behind Sarah. The spirits move in front of Sarah, and melt the snow as we advance. It's hard to control them if Chris is too far away, but apparently she can go as far as 5 meters. A lot of spirits tend to be moody, so apparently there are times when they stop listening if they're too far away, especially when they've been summoned for a while. As Chris walks forward, the snow ahead evaporates. We don't need a snowplow with her around. That weird thought pops into my mind as I follow her. I turn to Mia, and it doesn't really look like she's having trouble walking. Yesterday Hikari told her to make sure to eat plenty of meat, and it didn't look like she was forcing herself, so her appetite is back too. You're not making a big deal about the snow, are you, Mia? We had it in the Holy City too during one season, and it wasn't that rare, although it wasn't as cold as here. The wind really is cold. Actually, it's less like it's just cold and more like it actually hurts. If you're struggling, say so right away. But despite my worries, she doesn't seem to have trouble. Maybe it's because of the snow, but I don't even see reactions from small animals. Everything is quiet except for the occasional sound of snow falling from trees and the wind. I check Mia's condition, and then make chains with alchemy that help walk on snow without slipping. We shouldn't melt the snow in front of us when we get to places with people, and we want to experience walking on snow too. Mostly Hikari and me. 2 days later, we reach the top of the mountain. The view from here is clear, and we can see the mountain range very well. If we walk near the ridge, we can go around the mountain range surrounding the Dragon Kingdom, but there isn't anyone crazy enough to do that. One of the mountain towns, Lacta, has buildings that look like they were carved into the mountain surface. Apparently 2 other towns are also built into the geography around them. It's said that it started as a hut made for travelers, but as more people started coming and going, it expanded. But the owner of the inn says she doesn't see many travelers nowadays. There's the fact that the country has an isolationist policy, but it's also because the road between Rul and Lagtu is tougher than the alternatives. I'm surprised you walked through that path. How are you doing? She asks, sounding a little amazed. Does that mean she has experienced traversing that path too? Apparently she walks through that path pretty often to go to the forest to get food. She sounds tough, but I guess it's not so strange for someone living on the mountain. What do you want to do about the rooms? The biggest one only takes 4, she says, and we take a room for 2 and the room for 4. Having a bed to sleep in again feels nice. If all goes well, we should reach Marty at the foot of the mountain in about 5 days. The path is a gentle slope too, and it's taken care of. I hear it's because they use it for grazing. Looking outside the window, I can see a few grassy spots surrounded by fences. There's also a small settlement where these people taking care of livestock live, and apparently we can ask to stay with them. Of course, they sell food there, and I hear that while meat is cheap, fruit and vegetables are expensive. On the flip side, they're glad to buy them. So that's why I heard in the border city that it's a good idea to take vegetables if we're going to the Dragon Kingdom. Only if we have a way to preserve them, of course. I check the item box, and see I do have vegetables I can sell. The owner of this inn says she would like to buy some too, so I sell it to her. And when it's time to go to bed, being wrapped in a comforter for the first time in a while means I fall asleep pretty quickly. Join my Patreon to support me and read ahead. Walking in Another World, Chapter 228, Marti, Part 1. Marti is a port town near a lake that connects the three mountain towns to the city in the sky where the Dragon King lives. When I first heard of a city in the sky, I imagined a city actually floating in the air, but that's not what it's like. In fact, it was merchants who came from outside the country that started calling it the city in the sky, because the reflection of the sky in the lake makes it look like it's floating in the air. I get the same feeling when I see this site, and it looks like everyone else is also fascinated by it. Amazing, someone whispers, and all I can do is quietly nod. Welcome to Marti, HN. Try not to start any trouble, says the gatekeeper after checking my guild card. He actually seems bored. I'm assuming not a lot of people come here. After going through the gate, a lot of eyes are pointed at us. I guess they really aren't used to outsiders. We're going to check out the guilds for now. First the Adventurer Guild, then the Merchant Guild, and lastly the Alchemist Guild. There are multiple inns to choose from, so we'll pick one after getting information in the guilds. The sun is still high in the sky too. We enter the Adventurer Guild, and see it's pretty quiet. There are quests posted on the board, but not a lot. Well, this is rare. We don't have a lot of quests available, but go ahead and accept one if you'd like. The receptionist is a man. That's rare in itself, but he's also a beast person. Doesn't it look like there are more transport quests than hunting quests? Yes, I guess a lot of them are about escorting food deliveries, and things like picking quests. I do get the feeling that there aren't a lot of hunting quests. Back in that settlement built on the surface of the mountain, there were also a lot of tough-looking people that could probably hunt monsters if they carried weapons. And there might not be many monsters to begin with. But that doesn't mean there aren't any at all. Sure enough, I see a few quests about hunting flying monsters, but there are more about investigating the forest. They might hunt the monsters periodically before they can really settle. I think you will find rooms in any inn, but as for good food, he seems to be really thinking about it, and we should get a lot of information here. Hikari is holding on to Rurika's waist and listening with a serious look on her face. Once we're done here, we split into two groups. One is going to get us an inn and gather information around town, and the other is going to the Merchant and Alchemist Guilds. I'm on the latter, along with Hikari. We're going to meet up by a store near the center of town when we're done. We settle on a fountain in the square as the place where we'll wait, but it's fine if our meeting place is vague, because I can just find them with map if they're around that area. First we're going to the Merchant Guild to ask about the laurel tree fruit. Laurel tree. I don't think you can get it in this season. I'm told that not only is it expensive because it's used for all sorts of medicine, but it's also found in a dangerous place, so there aren't a lot out on the market. And apparently we can't even pick it without permission. It sounds like Celeste was right. Where can we get it? The Dragon King's side. That island, he says while pointing outside the window, to the island floating on the lake. How do we get there? Are there boats at appointed times? I look at the pier, but don't see any boats that would fit that purpose. The island. It might be tough for outsiders. I think you will need the permission of the feudal lord. So we can't just come and go freely? Yes, a lot of outsiders want to go to Alta, because it's easy to obtain precious materials there. But many of those people caused trouble, so it was decided that only those with the feudal lord's permission are allowed to travel there. I say thank you and we leave the Merchant Guild. Then we go to the Alchemist Guild, but they don't have any laurel tree fruit. Bazan actually contacted them, but it was just after they used what they had. I heard we need the feudal lord's permission to go to the island, but how do we meet him? The feudal lord. Normally you could just go to the mansion, but that wouldn't be easy for outsiders. What's going on? Guildmaster. This man wants to go to Alta. An outsider? I'm Yan, the Guildmaster. Why do you want to go to the island? I guess Buzzin didn't tell them a lot. I tell them what I can about what happened in the Majolica dungeon, and how the petrification cures we had couldn't heal Casey completely. I see. So even holy magic could not cure it. Did they ask a high-ranking priest? I assume so. I don't know how high-ranking, but the patient is close to the feudal lord of the region. So you know nobles, mister? I have connections. So what do I need to do to meet the feudal lord here? And you know Buzzin too? What's your name, mister? Sora. Ah, I see. You are. Got it. I'll write a letter of recommendation. You'll get to meet him, but I'm not guaranteeing you'll be able to visit the island. We've managed to get to the next step, so that's good at least. But is it really that hard to get permission? If it comes to that, I want to see if I can negotiate and try to get my hands on laurel tree fruit that way. But I wonder what this feudal lord is like. Join my Patreon to support me and read ahead. Walking in Another World, Chapter 229, Marty, Part 2. Master, I'm sensing something tasty. I smell something nice from that stall too, but if we buy and eat something here, the others will probably be mad when we meet up with them, so let's not. Hikari would probably get away with it, but I can't imagine I'd escape being lectured for not looking after her properly. We'll eat lunch when we meet up with the others. It'll be tastier if we all eat together, right? Yes. She listens when I talk to her like this. Hikari is a good girl, but contrary to what she says, she's still slowly staggering her way towards the stall, so I have to grab her hand to stop her. At least she's in a good mood, because she's happily smiling for some reason. Finally, over here. They find us quickly, so we don't even have to look for them. But Rurika, everyone's eyes are focused on you because you're yelling so loudly. Hikari takes off running and hugs Rurika. I'm hungry. And you've been waiting? Yes. She's praising Hikari, probably because she held back that healthy appetite of hers, I guess. Where are we going to eat? Asks Chris, and after thinking about it, I turn to Hikari. I follow her eyes, and they take me to lined up stalls. Everyone else also looks where she's looking, and with a sigh of resignation, we head towards the stalls. And of course, Rurika is holding Hikari's hand so she doesn't take off running. There aren't that many people around, but it's still dangerous for her to suddenly start running. Although I think Hikari would probably be able to dodge anything that got in her way. Once we reach the stalls, her eyes start shining, and she starts sniffing. And after looking around, her eyes lock onto a specific position. She pulls Rurika that way, and for some reason, stares while tilting her head in confusion. Hello young lady. Do you want one? Says the person behind the stall, who finds the way Hikari is acting amusing. Yes. What is this? Hikari asks after staring for a while. You don't know? Hold on a second, you're not from around here, are you? Yes. I guess that makes sense. Outsiders tend to be surprised by this. This is my treat, young lady. Give it a try. Hikari happily accepts it and takes a bite. She chews, and then, it's great, is what she says, and a big proud smile forms on the man's face. Isn't it? You have good taste, he says while peeking this way. He's a good businessman. I smile awkwardly, and after asking the other four, we all decide to eat here. Some are a little reluctant, but decide that it has to be good if Hikari is enjoying it so much. 5 more please. Coming right up. A strong response. I pay and take one. I take a bite, and with a crunchy feeling, a salty flavor fills my mouth along with the gentle white-fleshed fish flavor. Yes, no doubt about it, this is fish grilled with salt. An entire one on a skewer. I turn to the side, and see Rurika and the others talking with surprised looks on their faces, like they didn't expect it to taste like this. They praise Hikari, and she looks a little proud of herself. They've eaten stuff with the same texture as fish in Majolica, but it's their first time eating grilled fish that had the same texture as fish. But was it actually fish? Was this caught in that lake? Yep. There's people who make a living doing that, and there's many types of fish that can be caught there. So they're also called fish in this world. How do you catch them? There's small boats for that purpose. They use them to catch fish, and leave the boats anchored in a small place in the corner of town that's just for that. So that's why I haven't seen them. Can't we use one of those boats to go to the island? Afterwards, we go to other stalls under Hikari's guidance. A lot of it revolves around fish, but even a meat lover like Hikari doesn't leave unsatisfied. So, how did it go with you two? Rurika and the others take us to the inn, and we sit down in a corner of the dining hall to sort out the information we got. I couldn't get laurel tree fruit. I asked the guild, but they say it won't be easy. Really? We went around the item shops, but they all said they didn't have any. So what now? Asks Mia, and I tell them what I heard in the Alchemist Guild. So we are going to see the feudal lord tomorrow? Yes. I got an introductory letter, and the guild contacted them to say we'll be visiting tomorrow. I see. But you should probably take that mask off, says Rurika. I see people wearing masks in towns from time to time, but I guess I probably shouldn't wear it. It wasn't a problem with the feudal lord of Majolica, but that might be just because he's Layla's father. Then again, I was also wearing it when I met the guild master, so let's see what Chris, an intellectual person with actual common sense, has to say. Well, from what I heard around town, the feudal lord seems to be a moody person. You might make a better impression without the mask. I see. I don't see any weird reactions with presence detection, and we're far from Elazier, so I'll take it off when we enter the mansion. Well then, I'm going there tomorrow. What about everyone else? You should go with Chris. It's best if you're not accompanied by slaves. We'll go buy disposable items in the meantime, says Rurika, and that gets me thinking about this country's stance on slaves. Not to mention that I probably shouldn't take a large group with me. Join my Patreon to support me and read ahead. Walking in Another World, Chapter 230, Marty, Part 3. This is the feudal lord's mansion, but it's small compared to Layla's house and yours. If they hadn't told me about it beforehand, I would have thought it was a normal house. Of course, the houses around it look better than the ones in the area where Aaron is, but this noble quarter still falls short compared to other towns I've seen. That said, I don't consider that a bad thing. It means I can walk around without feeling tense. One thing that does seem out of place is the guard acting as gatekeeper. I show him the introduction letter the guild master of the Alchemist Guild wrote for me, and apparently they've already discussed this, because we're quickly taken by an old man in a butler's outfit to a reception room. We're given drinks, and after waiting for a bit, the door opens and we hear heavy footsteps, before the old man from before accompanies a plump man inside the room. Chris stands up, so I do the same, and keep following her movements when she lowers her head. The man sees that, walks over in front of us, and sits heavily on the sofa. What is your business? I believe the Alchemist Guild already contacted you, but we wish to receive permission to cross over to Alta. Oh, that. We can't do that. I strain myself talking in a way I'm not used to, and I'm shot down right away. May I ask why? Well, it's a busy season, and we don't have time to be concerned with such matters. If that's all, we are done here, he says very fast, before getting up and leaving. Chris is just as surprised as I am, and we're both left here as the butler escorts the man out. Does he have a problem with the guild master of the Alchemist Guild? I ask, and Chris responds with a troubled look on her face. Maybe we should go talk to him. I think that's a good idea. So we do just that. When we go to the Alchemist Guild and tell them what happened, Yan looks perplexed. That guy can be difficult, but I think something might have happened. Apparently there's no animosity between them, but it seems he tends to not think about other things when there's something on his mind. The guild master says he's probably preoccupied with another problem. In any case, I'll try talking to him. I've also gotten in contact with the guild in Alta, so you might be able to get it through the. Where are you staying, mister? I tell them the name of the inn, and Yan suggests we go to the Chemist Guild, even if it's a long shot. Laurel tree fruit? I'm sorry, but we don't have any in stock. Apparently laurel tree fruit is also popular here as a material for making medicine with a lot of applications. That means it's less effective than specialized medication, but it's effective against hard-to-understand conditions, so it's also used as a stopgap measure in emergency situations. That makes it so they go through them very fast. That doesn't mean that they're wasting precious items without a care, but it does mean that they're guaranteed to spend at least a certain amount. And laurel tree fruit is necessary to make that medicine, so if anything, they also want more of it. This fruit is even more valuable than I thought. I think we're really going to have to go to that island, I whisper, and Chris looks exasperated. Are you by any chance thinking of using one of those small boats we heard about yesterday in the store? Why yes. Geez. You can't. Let's just meet up with the others and discuss what to do next. Yes, let's do that. It's almost noon, so they're probably around the stalls. And sure enough, we tell them what happened, and start considering going to the guild to accept a quest to blow off steam. It wouldn't be good if Yan tried to contact us while we were away, but can we ask someone in the inn to take a message? Well, we have time, so we can probably just tell them we're going to accept a quest. We probably don't have time to go too far, but I feel like my thoughts are going to wander in a bad direction if I don't do something. And more importantly, people registered in the Adventurer Guild have to do quests from time to time, so we should take care of it now that we can. Are there any quests we can accept? That one, Hikari says while pulling my sleeve. As I look at the board, she's pointing to a medicinal herb picking quest. Master, I think Hikari wants to go hunt animals that appear in the forest and pick mushrooms, says Sarah, and she tells me what they heard by the stalls. I look at Miu and Rurika, and they nod. We can't? Asks Hikari. I look at the quest again, then back at her. I guess we could do a medicinal herb picking quest, but I don't think we can come back the same day, so we really should tell Yan about it. And so, I go to the Alchemist Guild alone, and when I tell Yan we've accepted a quest to pick medicinal herbs, he asks to pick some for them too. Well, we're going there anyway, so sure. After all, Yan is going out of his way to help me, and he's even willing to pay,